Hey there, beautiful souls, and welcome back to another episode of Divine Feminine Awakened. If you've been following along, you know that we're on a journey of self-acceptance, and today we're diving into a topic that I know resonates with so many of us: finding purpose and meaning amidst life's uncertainties. Now, before we get too deep, let's take a moment to settle in. Wherever you are, just take a deep breath in and let it out. This is your time to unwind, to reflect, and to explore together. So grab your favorite cup of tea, get comfy, and let's chat about something that has been on my mind a lot lately. All right, let's talk about purpose. This word can feel so loaded, right? We hear it all the time. Find your purpose, live your purpose, align with your purpose. But what does that actually mean? And more importantly, how do we discover what our purpose is, especially when life feels so uncertain? So let's start with a question. What does it mean to have purpose? I think we've all been there, wondering why we're here, what we're supposed to be doing, and how we can make a difference. It's one of those big existential questions that can really feel overwhelming. But let's break it down and make it a bit more manageable. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's a powerful concept called dharma. Now, I know we've talked about dharma before, but just to refresh, dharma can be seen as your personal duty or path in life. It's that thing that feels most aligned to who you are at your core. Krishna tells Arjuna that everyone has their own unique dharma, and that fulfilling it is a crucial part to living a meaningful life. But here's the thing: dharma isn't always obvious. It's not like we wake up one day and a neon sign appears in front of you saying, "This is your purpose." It's more like a gradual unveiling, a process of discovery. And sometimes life's uncertainties are what actually help us to uncover it. I remember when I was deep in the corporate grind, feeling completely disconnected from any sense of purpose. I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do, climbing the ladder, making a good living, but it felt so hollow. And it wasn't until I started to experience burnout, really, that I realized that something had to change. And that's when I kind of went on my healing journey, started with therapy, and that's when I started to exploring deeply into yoga and mindfulness. I had dabbled in yoga on and off since my early 20s. Never really gotten into mindfulness, but it was really after that burnout that I started kind of going on my healing journey. And eventually, I found my calling in holistic living. And that period of uncertainty, as painful as it was, it really pushed me to reevaluate life and what truly mattered to me. And you know what? That's where I found my purpose. So if you're feeling lost or unsure right now, know that it's okay. Like, sometimes the most significant growth happens in the middle of uncertainty. Purpose isn't something that you figure out once and for all. It's something you discover and rediscover as you move through life. And let's talk about how we can uncover our unique path, our dharma, especially when it feels uncertain. I want to share a few practices and ideas that have helped me And that might resonate with you too. First, and this is probably the most important, listen to your inner voice. I know it sounds cliche, but it's true. We all have that inner voice, that intuition that guides us. But in the busyness of life, it's easy to ignore it or drown it out with distractions. One way to tune into your inner voice is through journaling, and I am a big fan of free writing, like where you just let your thoughts flow on the page without judgment. And you can ask yourself questions like, what brings me joy? What am I naturally drawn to? What do I feel called to? Because those types of light questions often lead me to so many deeper questions that I begin to ask myself. So see what comes up. Like, don't worry about finding the perfect answer. Just let your intuition guide you. And another powerful practice is meditation. When we meditate, we create a space for ourselves to emerge. We quiet the mind and listen to the heart. A simple meditation practice that I love is to sit in a comfortable position, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. And as you breathe in, silently say to yourself, I am open to my purpose. And as you breathe out, say, I trust the journey. You can repeat this mantra for a few minutes, really allowing yourself to connect with that deeper part of you that knows your purpose. Second, embrace curiosity. Sometimes we think that we have everything figured out, but life is more about exploration than it is about having all the answers. Allow yourself to be curious, try new things, to explore different paths. You never know where a spark of interest might lead. Maybe you'll discover a new passion, a new calling, or maybe even a new way to express your purpose. I remember when I was first started exploring the holistic living, it wasn't something that I set out to do, like this grand plan. It was more of a curiosity. I started experimenting with the different practices, the different types of yoga, meditation, mindfulness. I started reading all kinds of books, the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, and again, forgive me for my pronunciations. I'm horrible at this. It really seems that as I've gotten older, I find it harder to pronounce certain words. It's weird. But I started reading those books, and then eventually it really just became a central part of my life and my purpose. So give yourself permission to explore without the pressure of having it all figured out. And third, don't be afraid to change direction. And this is a big one. Just because you've been on one path doesn't mean that you have to stay on it forever. Life is dynamic, and so are we. If you feel like you're not on the right track, it's okay to pivot. In fact, some of the most fulfilling paths are the ones that we stumble upon when we least expect it. I know that for me, changing directions was one of the hardest and probably scariest, but most rewarding decisions I've ever made. Leaving the corporate world to pursue a path in yoga and mindfulness, it wasn't easy. It isn't easy. It's very scary still, and often can be uncertain and filled with doubt. I have days that I'm super confident and feel like I have everything figured out, and then the very next day, I feel completely lost and not even sure if I know what I'm doing. But looking back, like I can see it was like one of the best decisions that I ever made. So if you're feeling like you're called to make a change, trust that it's okay to follow that call, even if it's scary. I mean, me and my husband just did this very thing and talk about scary. Yeah, it's pretty scary. But we're called to do it, so we made that change. And I'm so glad that we did. So now let's talk about finding meaning in everyday life, because here's the thing. Not every day is going to be filled with profound realizations of your life's purpose. And that's okay. Meaning can be found in the small things too. It's in the simple act of being present, of savoring your morning coffee, of connecting with a loved one, of doing something kind for someone else. These moments might seem ordinary, but they're where life happens. And when we're fully present in them, we start to see the beauty and the meaning that's woven in the fabric of our daily lives. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna advises Arjuna to focus on his actions without attachment to the outcome. And this teaching reminds us that we don't have to have everything figured out. We just have to show up, do our best, and trust that the rest will unfold as it's meant to. This brings to me a simple practice that you can incorporate in your daily life: mindful living. It's about bringing your full attention to whatever you're doing, whether it's washing dishes, taking a walk, or even having a conversation with a friend. When we practice mindfulness, we are fully engaged in the present moment, and that's where we can find meaning. I encourage you to try this today. Like, pick one activity, no matter how mundane, and just do it with full awareness. Notice the sensations, the sounds, the feelings that arise. You might be surprised at how much more connected you feel to your life when you're fully present. Another way to find meaning is through connection. Connecting with others, sharing a moment of kindness, or simply being there for someone can bring a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. It's easy to overlook these small acts of connection because they're often where we find, or I should say, but another way to find meaning is through connection. Connecting with others, sharing a moment of kindness, or simply being there for someone can bring a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. It's easy to overlook these small acts of connection, but they're often where we find the most meaning. And finally, finding meaning can come from serving others. Like when we can contribute to something larger than ourselves, we tap into a profound sense of meaning. And this doesn't mean that it has to be something grand. It could be volunteering, helping a neighbor, or simply offering a listening ear to a friend. Like these all small acts of kindness or service connects us to our humanity and reminds us that we're all a part of something bigger. And this kind of brings me back to an experience that I had earlier this week with my sister. I have a special needs niece that, has a very strict schedule of medicine that she needs to take. She's tubal fed, and that's, on a very kind of strict and rigid schedule. To make a long story short, she has HIE, she has cerebral palsy, and she struggles with things like seizures and stuff. So my sister needed help the other day, and in all honesty, it's not something that I'm used to doing because she usually takes care of her takes care of it. I call her a Wonder Woman. I'm amazed with everything that she can do. Um, but anywho, she needed my help, and there was a lot of anxiety that was coming up from me for this day together, because I had never administered the medicine to my niece. I had never fed her, and I get honestly, I get afraid of touching her belly button tube because I'm so afraid of hurting her. And so because of that, and no fault to no one else but myself, I haven't spent as much time as I really should be connecting with my sister and everything. But I went over there, and, it turned out to be a very great experience. It was such a beautiful day because not only was I able to learn the things that I needed to learn to be closer to my niece and to really be able to take on helping out my sister, but it also gave me a chance to be of service to others, to remind me of my path and what my purpose is, what my dharma is, and it's always to be of service to others. And so we ended up making a whole day of it, and my brother ended up coming over, and it was just so beautiful. So that's just that little reminder of those small acts of service being able to connect us to our humanity and remind us of who we are and what we're put on this earth for. I apologize. I know I went off the tracks there a little bit, but definitely something I felt like needed to be shared with you guys. So before we move into our yoga sequence, let's take a moment to kind of reflect on the journey so far. So we talked about the evolving nature of purpose, the importance of listening to our inner voice, and how to find meaning in everyday life. But what I want to emphasize is something that's really important. You don't have to have it all figured out. Life is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you feel clear about your purpose, and then times when you feel lost. Both are okay. Both are part of the process. So if you're feeling uncertain right now, give yourself permission to be where you are. Trust that the answers will come in their own time. And in the meantime, focus on living fully in the present moment. So now that we've explored the concept of purpose, let's move into a gentle yoga sequence designed to help us connect to that energy. This practice is about grounding ourselves, tuning into our bodies, and creating space for inner wisdom to emerge. So start by coming to a comfortable seated position, and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let go of any tension you're holding on to and allow your body to completely relax. Here, let's move into a seated twist. So on your inhale, lengthen your spine, and on your exhale, gently twist to the right, placing your left hand on your right knee and your right hand behind you. Take a few breaths here, feeling the stretch along your spine. And with each breath, imagine yourself releasing any doubts or fears about your purpose. And then slowly come back to center. And now we're going to repeat it on the other side. So on your inhale, lengthen through your spine. And on your exhale, gently twist to the left, placing your right hand on your left knee and your right hand on your left knee and your right hand behind you. And take a few breaths here, feeling the stretch along your spine. With each breath, again, imagine releasing any doubts or fears about your purpose. Now coming back to center. And next, let's transition to an all fours position for a few rounds of cat-cow. So making sure that your shoulders are stacked above your wrists, your knees are hips width apart. And on your inhale, go ahead and drop your belly, lift your chest and tailbone into cow pose. So you want to look up to the sky. And on your exhale, round your spine, tuck your chin to your chest, and move into our cat pose. I always like to imagine pulling my belly button into my spine as far as I can, and that will really allow your body to, your back to round like a hissing cat. And as you move through this flow, imagine that you're creating space in your body for clarity and insight. Let each movement be a reminder that your purpose doesn't have to be rigid. It can be fluid and dynamic, just like this practice. And continue into cat-cow for a few more rounds here, working to tie your movements with your breath. So inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, round, tuck your chin. Great job here. Now, when you're ready, let's come into our downward facing dog. So we're going to come back into a neutral all fours position. And looking at your hands, make sure that you're pressing your hands firmly into the mat, spreading your fingers out wide. And when you feel like you've got a really good stance there with your arms, then tuck your toes and then begin to lift your hips up towards the sky. So pushing back with your hips. And feel the stretch along your spine and the back of your legs. And if you're feeling a lot of tension in your hamstrings, go ahead and bend your knees slightly, and you can walk it out on one leg and then the other, slowly relaxing into that posture. And I really love to add movement to my downward dog when it's the first downward dog of my practice, or if I'm doing a practice first thing in the morning. I will definitely add some movement into my downward facing dog just to get those hamstrings warmed up and ready to go into the full posture later on. I'm going to take a few deep breaths here, grounding yourself into the earth. And this pose is about finding strength and stability, both physically and mentally. And as you hold the position, think about what grounds you in your life. What gives you a sense of stability and purpose? Now, if you haven't already done so and have your knees bent, slightly bend your knees and look to the front of your mat and slowly begin to take a few steps one by one, coming up to your hands there for a forward fold. And again, if you're feeling some tightness in your hamstrings, go ahead and bend those knees slightly and let your head hang heavy, releasing any tension in your neck. Bend your knees as much as you need to, and really just let gravity do the work. As you breathe here, allow yourself to let go of any expectations or pressures you've placed on yourself regarding your purpose. This is a moment to surrender and trust that you're exactly where you need to be. On your next inhale, slowly begin to rise up to standing vertebra above vertebra, reaching your arms overhead. Take a moment to stand tall, feeling the connection between your feet and the ground beneath you. And bring your hands to heart center and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, silently repeat to yourself, I am open to my purpose. Stay here for a few moments, holding this intention in your heart. And finally, let's come down to a seated position once more. So extend your legs out in front of you. And this is a good position to use a strap if that's within your practice. If not, we're going to take an inhale, and with our exhale, we're going to gently fold forward into a seated forward bend. And if you're not using a strap here, you can reach for your toes, maybe your ankles, or even your knees even. Wherever you are in your practice is perfectly okay. In this pose, it's about surrender and letting go. So as you fold forward, allow yourself to release any lingering doubts or fears. Trust that your purpose is unfolding in its own time. Now, when you're ready, slowly rise up and find a comfortable seated position for our closing meditation. So close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, allowing your body to settle into stillness. As you inhale, imagine yourself drawing in a sense of clarity and purpose. As you exhale, let go of any tension or uncertainty. Now picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast open field. The sun is shining and there's a gentle breeze in the air. This field represents the infinite possibilities of your life. Take a moment to feel the warmth of sun on your skin and the ground beneath your feet. In this field, you see a path unfolding before you. It's a path that's uniquely yours, one that's been shaped by your experiences, your gifts, and your desires. Begin to walk down this path, feeling a sense of curiosity and excitement about what lies ahead. As you walk, notice that the path isn't always straight. There are twists and turns, hills and valleys. But with each step, you feel more connected to your purpose. Trust that this path is leading you exactly where you need to go. Now, imagine that you've come to a place on this path where you can rest. It could be a bench, a tree, or a soft patch of grass. Take a seat and just be. Allow yourself to just simply exist in this moment without needing to do or be anything. Feel the peace that comes from knowing that you're on the right path, even if you can't see the entire journey ahead. As you sit here, silently repeat to yourself, I am open to my purpose. I trust the journey of my life. Let these words sink into your heart, filling you with a sense of peace and acceptance. Take a few more deep breaths, allowing this feeling of clarity and purpose to fill your entire being. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, bringing your awareness back to the present moment. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to remind you that your purpose is something that evolves with you. It's not something that you have to figure out all at once. Instead, it's something you discover step by step, moment by moment. Be patient with yourself as you explore this journey. Allow yourself to be curious, to make mistakes, and to change direction when needed. And most importantly, be kind to yourself along the way. Next week, we'll continue our 6-part series on self-acceptance with episode 5, where we'll explore the topic of discovering and aligning with your life's true purpose. I'm so excited to dive into this one with you. Until then, embrace the flow of life, honor your journey, and remember, every moment is a gift. Thank you for joining me today, beautiful souls. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. I'm sending you all my love and light. Namaste.